get things started here, folks. So, hello everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Live Feature Rant. I gotta get some music here or something. So we've got on our screen left, that way, NoodleCat, who's a awesome member of the Landmark community. You were an early purchaser of the Founders Packs, weren't you? Like not
Day 2 alpha.
Day 2 Alpha? Nice.
There you go.
I would have been day 1, but they launched early, and I didn't know about it till a friend that night was like, hey, are you in Landmark yet? And I'm like, wait, they're not supposed to launch till like the 28th. And it ended up being early, so. Oh well. I missed all the server downtime for that first 24 hours. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was still in San Diego until like Saturday evening, and then downtime and everything. So, no biggie. But yeah, definitely, this is somebody who's been with Landmark from the beginning, playing, being a part of the community, being totally awesome. And honestly, maybe it was just that you hadn't been streaming as much or something, but I'm surprised you don't have like 5,000 followers on Twitter or Twitch rather already, because like your shows are really, really good. They're very informative.
I got into the streaming late because I knew I was moving, and I didn't want to start streaming and being, building a community and then poof, be gone for, however long. I thought I was going to be gone for a week to move. It ended up being a month. So it turned out okay, I guess. I would have liked to start streaming earlier. I wanted to, but it didn't fall together well enough. So, but now I am. I've been streaming for about 2 months, so it's actually been really great, really fun.
Yep. And I've been trying to hang out when I can. Now, we have also Adam on. Let's see if I get the direction right this time. Screen right, and you've been you were talking a little bit about the video stuff. Have you been having any progress with your YouTube videos? Any of that stuff recently?
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, the B5 video where I talk about the rebooting of the franchise and all that just went up last week. So got another video going up this week. It's probably going to be about Pinball Arcade and showing that off to people. But yeah, no, so I mean, my video stuff is back on track. The only thing that's still holding me back is I'm stuck on this crappy headset. You know what I mean? So some folks that donate to my Patreon were nice enough to send over some game cards. Not game cards, gift cards over to Amazon. So I'm $57 short of being able to replace the microphone mixer setup with a new Blue Yeti microphone. So if anybody out there is feeling bad for me and wants to send me a gift card to help me out with that, feel free to hit me up over the social medias and I'll point you in the direction. But soon I'll hopefully have that, and then once I get the microphone situation taken care of, I think I'm actually going to be launching a new audio podcast, because the video thing, trying to get other people to commit on a weekly basis is also a lot harder than people would think. Everybody says they want to do a podcast, but then when it comes to sitting down and doing it, it's a whole nother thing, and I'm kind of tired of waiting for folks. So prepare for podcasts of me just ranting all by myself, at least for the foreseeable future. We'll see what happens.
Hell yeah, that's how the first 2 months of this show started.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, hanging in there. Otherwise, I'm in the middle of writing something I'm not ready prepared to talk about, but something people will have the ability to buy in the next few months, and that's really what the majority of my free time has been spent working, when I'm not dinkering around with a game or two here and there. So, in between that, trying to find the day job, it's, more of the same this week. Nothing super new to report. So we should dive in and get to some Landmark stuff, even though this week was a little light. I mean, the patch notes weren't, or the update notes, sorry, weren't super huge this week.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say shame on all of you in chat for not catching the typo in the ticker at the bottom. I had Omeed Dariano for a moment. I didn't see anybody correct it. Oops.
I thought I saw Poro. Sorceress pointed out
Did
you
she?
spelled Omeed's last name wrong.
Oh,
yes,
whoops.
she did.
Sorry, Poro.
So Poro gets the attention to detail prize tonight. How about that?
Hooray, Poro. All right.
She caught it. She caught it.
But yeah, so Omeed Ariani, the former senior brand manager of the EverQuest and Landmark
What did you say?
franchises.
Former?
Former, that's right.
Former?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Former.
Yep,
So sad. So
he
sad.
hasn't really revealed the details other than that I believe he said Friday was his last day, and then
Yeah.
I guess maybe came back to clear out the office today or something. But yeah, that's definitely what happened, and I'm sure we'll hear the details, or otherwise just kind of see where he ends up and know from there. But what I do know for now is that means he's got more time to hang out and more time to stream, so he'll probably be streaming a
Yes.
lot more, and that should
Yeah,
be a
he's
lot of fun.
definitely. I think he's definitely. I'm sure, being the kind of fellow that he is, I'm sure he has irons in the fires. I'm sure people are tripping over themselves right now to say, "Hey, Omeed, we'd like to work with you," and I'm sure he'll
Hmm.
have something else going on in the near future. It seems a little abrupt, but he makes it really, really clear that there's no beef with anyone he was working directly with, and everyone on the Ever EQN team and the Landmark team and all of that. So it just sounds like he was ready to move on, and the opportunity presented itself. So
You know,
if you want to follow it, the best place to get word right from him is on his Twitter account. So
at
look
Omeed.
that up if you're
Yep.
curious.
I
Yeah,
don't.
at
Yep.
Omeed, and that'll fill you in. And he's saying hello, and he's interacting with folks. So if you wanted to say goodbye or keep up with them, that's probably the best
He
place
said he
to
was
do
going to
it.
be on more too. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
he also
Jokingly,
said he resigned instead of like he wasn't fired or anything. He
Yeah. He
specifically said
wasn't
he
fired. Yeah.
resigned. So it sounded
right.
like
Yeah.
it was his choice. He wanted to move on. So
when
Yeah. Exactly.
when I read his statement that it was no beef with Landmark or EQ teams, immediately I thought, oh, but you've got beef with HR. No, no, I'm sure nothing that he was saying was really anything,
I am.
pushing the limit.
Completely speculation here. I am not privy to anything in this regard. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one or two people over there at the SOE offices that have a really big stick up their ass and probably have taken umbrage with Omeed's style from time to time. It's what I mean. Omeed's a different kind of character, but it's also what works for him, and not everybody in the workforce is as liberal or as free rolling as a lot of people are. So it is what it is. Again,
it's a personality.
yeah, it happens. It happens. And they seem genuinely bummed on Landmark Live that Omeed was gone, and Dave seemed like he was really going to miss him. So well, anyway, like I said,
Well, yeah,
can't wait to see what he's going to do next.
we're all gonna miss him, but at least he's left his mark. Other than what he's done up to this point, there is /Onod in the game. There is that classic little clip from the Roundtable Response episode 21 with Rosie Rappaport. I believe
Yeah.
I just made a clip of it earlier. Found the link earlier. I think it was 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Start tuning in from there if you want to see the Onod itself when it happened. He's told the story many times on his stream, but if you want to have him tell it again, catch him during one of his broadcasts, buy him a drink. He'll go to story time and give you the details on kind of how it happened, because it wasn't just that one take. They had done a few takes, and apparently that was the one they decided to go with, but they didn't tell him. And then of course,
I actually had never heard that story.
well, the funny thing is, then after that, nobody told him that the Onod was put in the game, so Dave embarrassed him in front of a bunch of people, showing the Onod for the first time, and be like, "Oh yeah, this is something Omeed did." And yeah, pretty
I
funny.
do remember that, or something similar that was done on like the live stream or whatever. I do remember that, but I don't remember the actual story from it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty good. By the way, if you folks are wondering why we keep hearing the Wilhelm scream, that's actually my follower sound. So it's kind of recognizable. But anyway, so
It's
yeah,
sort of a thing people slip into movies, and you got to see if you can tell who's a fan of like Star Wars, for example, because that's kind of what brought it back into the sort of the public consciousness. And then as the years go on, usually almost every movie has at least one Wilhelm squeezed in there somewhere, and if you know what it sounds like, you'll almost always spot it. It's pretty cute.
I think Lord of the Rings actually used 4 in one of the big fight scenes in.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Used to hold it. They use it a bunch throughout the entire Lord of the Rings and Hobbit stuff. It's pretty common, but you'll hear it in a lot of different places. Anyway, I guess on the subject of legendary things, the Onod, the Wilhelm scream. I don't have anything to follow that with. Omeed's pretty awesome.
It's a broken segue. You
Yeah.
dropped the segue.
Yeah.
Nice try, though.
Yeah.
You went for it. You gave it a try.
Yeah, no. We're gonna miss Omeed around these parts. It's not like we're not gonna be hanging out with him, and not like we aren't gonna have more opportunities to hang out with him, because he's actually gonna have that free time and he's gonna be streaming, and that'll be awesome, because I really like kind of seeing his methodology of getting through games, how he breaks things down, and like watching how he plays FTL like a real douchebag. Like, oh yeah, that person can just die. They can just get cloned later on. Don't worry about it.
His Sims are the funniest ever.
Yeah, they
Oh
are.
my god, like the stuff he does to them, it's terrible but entertaining at the same time. Like, I don't know, he's got such a great creative imagination. Like, I don't know.
And yet he isn't a builder. That's the one interesting thing. He's a person who deals with personalities and probably like dollars and cents, but he's not a builder in The Sims. He's not a builder in Landmark, and that's fine.
He's a storyteller. That's what he
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
Oh,
I think we
me!
said his name enough
Yes,
times.
we summoned him. We got him.
How you doing?
Hello, sir. Welcome to the chat channel. I was just telling
Everybody-
these people to stop boo-hooing, because I'm sure whatever you're going to be doing next is probably going to kick ass, and that the adventure continues, and yet you'll have even more awesome stories to tell. You should write a book, Omeed. I'm sure you've heard that before, but you should write a book.
And you have to call it The Life and Times of Omeed. Yep.
Well, Piewing, he's going to end up in the realm of the Plane Beast at some point that Game Poro's been working on.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah. It looks really neat too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That should be a lot of fun. Nice. We got the mean things out of the way, so it's just going to be nice things at this point.
It was all nice things, Omeed. We were saying nice things.
So, but we've been talking about Omeed here for a little bit. Is there anything else anybody
Exactly.
wanted to say, or I think Omeed, you just kind of came in towards the end of it here. Writing.
Omeed, does this mean
Oh, right.
Omeed saying he was writing a book before he took the job at SOE. Well, continue
man.
writing the book, Omeed.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sure it would be a great seller. We all know you got great stories in you because you do it on your stream all the time. But that'd make a hell of an audiobook and book. So you should keep at that.
Life and Crimes of Omeed. Awesome, Rude.
Life and Crimes
Yes.
of Omeed. There you
Yes.
go. Exactly.
yes?
Good
I
stuff.
wonder if this means Omeed will actually do the 24-hour stream with us for Extra Life.
Oh.
Because he was mentioning
that's
on his stream that he wants to try and do it, but wasn't sure if he'd have the time to do it or be able to do it. So a bunch of us, and the O team's all doing a whole Extra Life thing, and a couple of us are helping them out. And I know myself and a few others are going to try and do 24 hours. So maybe
There you go.
that would be cool.
Very cool. All right. So we have plenty of show notes to kind of go over here. The update notes themselves were pretty interesting. Tentatively planning to do the 24-hour stream. Awesome. Very, very cool.
Sweet.
That should be really entertaining. I wonder what, like, hour 18 of drunk, tired streaming Omeed,
yep.
hour 18 on is going to be the best. Of course, my 30-hour marathon, I started it in the Karen build that the first one that I did. In the last 4 hours of it, actually, it came out pretty competent. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of stuff comes out. I guess I was kind of in my second wind at that point and probably sobered up from the previous drinks, but whatever. So, funny thing happened with the Landmark live show today. The I think that the sofa was not tamed by the loving butt sweat of Omeed, and not having Omeed's loving butt sweat, the sofa just reverted into its berserker rage mode and just started tearing the place up. So they're trying to calm it down. They tried giving it some candy, tried giving it some tranquilizers or something for like the first 15 minutes, and then they're like, screw this. Sofa, you win. We're going to Studio B, which is apparently where the workshop show is filmed, so it's a little bit tighter quarters. And apparently it gives Dexella green pixely wings of some sort. But
That green screen.
Well,
yeah,
I did think it was funny. I was seeing a lot of conspiracy theory, like, oh, Omeed's gone, now they don't know how to live stream. I'm like, listen, as much as I love Omeed, I highly doubt he was personally maintaining the stream setup. I was in there going, who was the very last person to use this room? Go get him.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was on one hand I was saying, well, yeah, me kind of knows tech stuff, and he does his own stream. But then I realized, wait a minute, he's just happy if he gets everything up and running the first time around. Like,
Yeah, no, what they're using in the main studio is they have a legit
yes,
full on, I believe, TriCaster switcher. Like they're using a real production setup there behind the cameras. So it's not as easy as make sure that the streaming settings are all set, or in good working order in OBS. There's a few more buttons they have to make sure are hit in order to make sure that happens. So
yeah,
if one person was in there playing around and accidentally hit button A instead of button B, I can see how they would have spent 15-20 minutes trying to figure out what the WTF. So
Please wait.
see, Omeed's
I know
pointing
what it
out
was.
he's fairly incompetent with streaming tech, so we can't really but it was still cute the way they handled it, and Dave kept apparently leaning over and typing in Dexella's iPad when she wasn't like right by it, and so he was talking about now we're showing this great concept art for this, and it was pretty funny actually.
Oh yeah,
So
I saw that.
they rolled with it. So
I
they
think it
literally
was
stuffed.
the,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I think it's
No, go ahead.
the Windows phone that replaced OB that probably broke everything. Because earlier we were informed that his replacement is a Windows phone, so the other tech just couldn't handle it. Just please wait, we're not dealing with this right now.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, kitty cat's coming in.
so yeah,
Oh, my cat just walked right across. He doesn't even care.
it's funny. So that's that was what kind of delayed that show, and of course that ended up causing them to go a little over, and we had a little bit of a delay with the start of the pre-show. So we Adam and I went and grabbed our drinks real quick, and then you got a little 5 minutes of NoodleCat or something, and then we came back and got started. But yeah, it was kind of funny, and I'm guessing that we'll get a little bit more detail on, I guess, whatever special stuff they're going to talk about. They said they're going to have 2 people on the show, but once again, the sofa in its absolute berserker rage kept bucking them off like the bull at that one bar at SOE Live. So
let's not spend a half hour talking about the things we didn't see this week. Let's talk about these update notes and see what we did talk about this week.
Yeah. So, Player Studio is going to have a little bit of a interesting bonus going to it, and this is going into the template storage limit stuff. So when you purchase anything on Player Studio, that template doesn't count against your limit. When you submit things, it won't count against your limit if it's up on Player Studio. If you have an item or a build rather that wins for Landmarks of Landmark or one of the racial workshop builds, then it won't cost you against your limit. So that's really, really nice. I don't know if all those features are necessarily in right now, but when they get those features in, it'll be retroactive. So if you still have your Landmarks of Landmark, if you still have your Dark Elf build, keep it if it was a winner. If it isn't a winner, then I guess screw you, you don't deserve it. But
And this goes back, yeah. Well, this goes back to what Dave had said. There was people who had won the contest, the first one, were like, I had to delete my winning entry after the fact because I ran out of space. And he said then that they wanted to make sure that players were rewarded in some way for having built something that's gonna, that won and is a part of the world. And so that's part of why they took, the voxel count away from it, because they wanted to make sure you never had to delete it. You should be able to, if you want to, redrop that in the world and say, hey, see, I'm the guy who built that thing you all walk past near the spire, or whatever you want to do. But
actually,
which reminds me, by the way, has anybody seen a landmark in Landmark? I have yet to see one.
Yeah,
I know where mine is.
I saw the Las Vegas style sign at some point. I know I've seen that.
Okay.
NoodleCat, where's yours?
Mine's on Liberation Kettle, like right by the spire. And I'm so excited for this because my voxel storage, more than half of it is my contest entry. It's 1.4 million voxels.
Wow. What was your entry again?
So the Candy Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't deleted it yet. So
Yeah, you're
I'll
gonna
be
need
very
that
happy when that
storage.
comes in.
Of course, I think
Yeah,
about like
folk-
the amount of time and effort it
go
would
ahead.
take to actually get all of those materials again when open beta starts, just to be able to put it down again. It's gonna be a hell of a test because we're gonna actually have to fight for
Nope.
that stuff.
Nope. That thing's probably never going down again.
Yeah, so folks in the chat are saying they've seen landmarks. I mean, I've clearly just had bad luck, as far as where I've been and what I've done. So, yeah, well, I did check. They didn't put a single landmark on the island I'm on. I'm on Serenity Levy, and I was begging. I begged Felgun to please put the Golden Throne on my island. And
Yeah.
he gave me the politically correct, oh, we're going to put them wherever they can fit. I'm like, no, seriously, I'll remove part of my claim so you can put it right there. It's cool. I would have taken it. Anyway, we're now sidetracked. So the voxel count thing is good news for you guys. However, there's kind of a downside to some of these changes they did today, and there was some moping and some pouting about how you folks can add some storage to your account at this particular point.
Yeah, I mean, in the past they've said that there's potentially going to be achievements and other things we can do in-game to increase our limit, but for right now, the only way we'll be able to achieve a larger voxel limit is with station cache. And I understand that.
Yep.
That's fine. I'm not necessarily sure. The current limit is 15 million, and it's $5 per million.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of storage space to spend. That's a lot of station cache cards to get that kind of storage space. And I feel like if somebody actually needs that much storage space because they're working on a lot of different projects that they don't want to put up on Player Studio until they're ready, because they've got some big old plan or whatever they're doing, it starts to really become an encumbrance. Also, the other thing is, at that point, I think we would really need folders and folders to sort our templates into, because right now when I'm trying to scroll through all of my templates, it takes about 2 minutes because it tries to load all of the images and all of the data for each one as I scroll through my gigantic list of templates.
I don't even use half my templates because of that. Actually.
I'm sitting here, doing the math, making sure I'm not looking. $5 for a million voxel storage does not seem outrageous to me. It really does. It seems.
No, it's not.
The folks, those of you who are worrying about million voxel storage, are in sort of a unique class. You really are like unique. You're the heavy duty builder types, because me, I'm not as intensive a builder as you. I still have plenty of voxel storage space. Do you think the limits are unfair right now? Because you're both builders, or do you think that it's generous as it is right now?
I think we need more. At the end of Alpha, I already had to throw basically 200,000 voxels over to an alternate character just because I didn't have enough space and I wanted to template off the stuff that I had at the end of alpha. So yeah, I've already got over 600,000 voxels stored between my two characters, and I'm honestly at this point weighing, do I buy more or do I eat another permanent beta key if I still have any more and just roll up another character. Which one's going to be more convenient? Because it's really at this point just archiving a lot of my old build stuff that I want to keep, but I don't plan to necessarily use in the immediate future. I really like being able to keep my old builds. I pulled out one of my old alpha builds on my alt account, put down some spawn points, and turned it into a death match, and it's freaky. It's a lot of fun because the way it's built, it actually promotes the use of the trinkets instead of being a place where you're not supposed to use it. You can go non-trinket, and it's just as much fun, but it's a place where it actually feels like it's built to use the double lunar anklet, belt of the Zephyr, feather in a bottle combination.
Well, how about you, NoodleCat?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, like, I won't be buying any. Mostly, like, I would buy it if I could afford it, but I'm not buying any right now because it's not
Gotcha.
something that I can fit into my budget at the present moment. I do have an alt account that I haven't switched a lot of stuff over to, but I probably will. I have deleted a lot of things in the past, but I'm not really sure how I feel about it actually. I don't mind paying for it. I expected that actually. I definitely expected at some point that either we'd get to a certain limit through achievements and stuff like that, and then eventually, we'll have to buy more storage or whatever. But I did find that when I try and go through my templates, I'm not even worried about stuff right now because I actually can't really get through the whole list of templates because of the UI setup at the present moment. So
Yeah,
I'll probably just push a lot of stuff onto that
gotcha.
second account because the second account actually only has one build on it right now, so I do have room. It's not too big of a deal. Plus, with an alt account, that means I have 7 more claims too, which is another thing because I fill up my claims too quickly.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, plus if I lose my claim or it rolls over if I don't forget to pay upkeep or whatever, that stuff isn't gonna get lost. So it might go over the limit, which it definitely will go over the limit, but you're not gonna lose any of that either. Plus, I'll be getting that 1.4 million back too once we are given our free voxel space from the contest. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. I don't keep as much stuff as I thought I would keep. Actually, I keep a lot of
'Cause
little
I would
things.
I know that, like in the case of, say, art, I know a lot of folks keep every sketchbook they ever did, but I also know a lot of artists that, get rid of their, they don't worry about keeping their early sketchbooks because they're just always moving on to the next thing, I you will eventually grow as a builder to the point where that spiral staircase you built at launch you wouldn't even think of using now because X, Y, and Z, you bought a better one or you got better at building it or whatever the case may be. Eventually it's like, are you being a virtual pack rat and hanging on to stuff you're never going to use? I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, I've certainly done my share of collecting knickknacks and other MMOs. So I get that, but at this point, like I if I lost all of my builds at this point, I wouldn't be heartbroken. But that's but I would what I mean. What I did wasn't super hard that I couldn't re-replicate it if I wanted to, do it. So. Well, Omeed saying goodnight to us, so thank you, Omeed, for stopping by. Very nice of you. And
Bye,
I am sure,
Omeed.
Omeed, that I will chat at you at some point, man. And write
I
that
will
book.
see you in your next stream and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
so I saw, folks were chatting
I-
about the voxel count, and most of them were saying they were fine with it. It does seem the folks that are like you, the more elite builders, folks who are really doing a lot of stuff, you're getting into the point where you're like, I'm running out of room.
Well, I can tell you where most of my room is right now. I've got
Okay.
probably about 200,000 to 300,000 is builds from alpha, stuff that I want to keep, stuff that I want to be able to show off. It's like, here was the tools then, here's what I could do then, here's what I can do now. Other things I want to
Gotcha.
keep, I ditched one of my landmarks of landmark because it was kind of wonky, the inverted pyramid thing. But the one that I kept was that perilous tower because it was made with modular parts and I can easily expand upon it. So I have not only the final finished entry in its finished form, but I also have all the different parts that it took to make it as well. So if at any time I decide I want to bring it back up, rebuild it, do more with it, turn it into an arena, turn it into part of an arena, I can do that. It's only one claim size, so it's really easy to incorporate that in an arena build. Just being able to build supporting stuff around it, or it being a supporting part of a larger build. So that's where a lot of my stuff is right now. And then I've got some stuff just hanging around here and there. The old Karen build that I had going. A couple signs, alphabet. I know I've got the larger and the smaller rings templates, and those are really helpful to have. So especially I've got the ones that are still in my name instead of in the name of the person who made them, because I had them since before that system was added. So I don't end up having to make a cut of that when I use the ring tool. It's easy enough to make the rings though these days. It's not really that big of a deal. And other than that, like, just I guess probably some of my other previous builds that I might want to bring back up at some point, just to show, like the line tool only build. That was another pretty heavy, thick build. But the other thing, and this is something that hadn't really been an issue up to this point, we could save ourselves a lot of voxels in the past by building things hollow. If I'm building a thick, heavy, sturdy arena that I want like 10 sticks of dynamite just to get one, through one wall or something like that, that is a lot of voxels. That is going to take a huge, ginormous, thick, overwhelming amount of voxels. Not only collecting that amount of voxels is going to be a huge task, or buying them, but then actually being able to store that off later. Tower that I did, the Perilous Tower, the Black Tower thing, if I didn't do it hollow, it would have easily been a million obsidian, no joke, or at least 700,000, stone inside the 500,000 obsidian, and I think 50,000 iron. So that's a hell of a lot just for a one claim build. That is a lot. That's half the default voxel, or excuse me. If we're talking million, then no, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of space. Maybe I'm off by a decimal here in some of this, but I know it would have been a hell of a lot more to fill it in rather than keeping it hollow. So that's what I have to say on the subject.
I think a lot of it will be fixed too, with the things that are being implemented later on, because we're going to get indestructible materials. So then you won't have to build a wall that's 10 voxels thick in order to keep someone from dynamiting through it. We're going to get things like circle templates and ring templates and cylinders and stuff like that, which Dave already said weren't going to cost voxel space. So a lot of the things that we have right now that are from alpha or from swap meets or are tools that we're using to make things quicker and easier, we won't need to keep at a future date. So it's kind of just that in-between time that we need to get to that point where we won't have to keep all of that stuff. Or we can
Gotcha.
build thinner, so...
Yeah, and actually that is going to be coming. Cody brings up a good point here. Dirt and stone, like tier 0 materials, those could potentially just be provided for free and just be taken out. The only reason why they remain at this point, I think, is just because of the sifters. And honestly, that's kind of it's a system that I'm not, as a builder I could see it go, but as a harvester, min-max or whatever. Well, I guess you'd still be going for the ancient dirt if you're actually looking for the idols and stuff, so that's still not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you still got the ancient dirt for that.
Yeah. Oh, and also, from what
I couldn't see getting rid of that, though. The sifters, I couldn't see getting rid of it because of the people who are builders who don't want to go explore.
Right.
So they can just walk outside their claim, dig a bunch of dirt, and still get a decent amount of materials out of the sifter instead of having to go deep into a cave and fight all these monsters and stuff. So I don't see them being able to remove that. And if you had unlimited dirt, then you couldn't do that. So, because then who would go explore?
Right.
Well, you got to remember too that it is the that is sifting through the dirt to get your relics and upgrades as well as additional materials just in general, but specifically the upgrading system. That's your random element in
Yeah.
that whole system. So that, you know what I mean? I have a feeling it's here to stay, and I do like it because it gives you control over the end product through the rest of the process by making that the random element, not the results you're pulling out of the system at the end. So I do like that. I don't want to see them dink with that too much.
Fair enough. By the way, folks, Cody's going to be on next week's show, so be around for that. Um, so we've got actually I saw somebody was saying in chat that while Lumicite is destructible, Alabaster, Moonstone, and Diamond are indestructible apparently. So I'm glad about that. I think I've got about 100,000 diamond, so I'll be able to finally
It's
finish
being
that arena.
changed. It's being changed. It was told to Felgon earlier in chat, and he freaked out and was like, "Oh my god, what the hell? No, this is not supposed to be okay."
Oh, damn it.
So, and then he ran off and left. So no, none of this stuff's supposed to be destructible at this present
Thanks,
moment. Or
everyone.
indestructible.
We really do need
So.
indestructible material, though. That's kind of ridiculous. Or that, or the ability to assign a volume of the voxels as being indestructible. And I'm not sure how that's going to work, because if people have a bunch of different volumes in different parts of the build, it's going to be really hard to access all of them. Especially not being able to, like, if we have to basically start looking at things in layers, like we're looking at the volumes layer versus the voxel layer, then that starts to get into that Photoshop thing that they said they wanted to avoid. So not really sure how they're going to be able to resolve that, but it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing. One other thing on material: when dirt gets switched over to the fabric material, it's going to become that fabric material. So everybody, just grab up
Fill your claims.
just full claims full of fabric. I don't know if it's going to be a default fabric material and you just pick the color, or if each one's going to be its own fabric color and you have to make different dirt voxel chunks of each one. But however you're going to do it, save yourself off some dirt fabric, because I think that was what Dave said he calls it, dirt fabric, because it's going to significantly reduce the amount of time you're going to have to spend actually trying to get that fabric in the world, which is going to be...
Save the jute.
Yeah. It might not even be jute. That might actually be cotton.
I don't know. Well, since all the plant fibers and stuff has been, it makes sense for it to be jute. And I bet it's going to be crafted on the loom.
Well, of
Guarantee
course.
it.
I mean,
Like the
Oh,
Lumicite.
of course. Yeah.
you get the discount over the 13 for the cost of 10 or whatever with the highest level loom. I still haven't upgraded my loom to the highest level yet. I don't even...
Can't.
Really?
Can't. We don't
What?
have serpent resin yet.
Ah.
It's a Jewish forest, so we can't do it yet.
Damn.
We can't have the legendary one. We can have the tier below it though.
Okay, then. Okay. So, we've got some other cool stuff coming up here.
Yep.
They're going to be doing some upcoming build contests, like I was saying last week. The contest is upcoming, and they're going to be announcing the details starting next week, or actually tomorrow, rather. I don't know when it's actually going to begin and what the start and end times for it's going to be, but definitely this is... I'm guessing tomorrow is going to be the last round of feedback they're going to give, because during the contest for the Dark Elves, they decided not to do any feedback because they realized it might give people a competitive edge over others. And while they are trying to make their game as best as absolutely possible and give us all the tools to be able to help them, they understand also it is a contest, it is a competition, so they can't, give anybody too much advantage. There's a lot of builds I've seen. I'd say, a lot more builds for the Karen stuff that I could see being winners, and than the Dark Elf stuff. There were a lot of good Dark Elf builds, but there weren't nearly as many of them that were like, oh my god, we need to have this in the game, like we've had with the Karen stuff. We've had amazing stuff. A lot of variation from a lot of different people, experimenting things in a lot of different ways. We now have not just the stuff to be able to define, one Karen culture, but we actually have, from all the different builds people have done, enough to really be able to define different cultures of Karen civilization, where they would build in different areas, how they would build there, what the building would look like, how it would function, and really being able to see the players go full on with everything from fishing towers to well, right now I'm doing a mountain peak, and I've seen mountainsides. Mountainside was an awesome build. I can't remember if that was Fazikis or Fugazi, but it's one of the two. It has really awesome stuff in it. Both of them, I believe, are working on awesome Karen builds. So, yeah, the Karen Foundation build is coming. NoodleCat, you're working on something for that, aren't you?
I was working on a little bit of the Karen stuff, but I don't know, I couldn't really get into it as much as I wanted to. I'm actually really waiting for the Halas building, because I already have the roof made for it. I liked it, it's just, I don't know. I'm not big into the kind of like that that style of building, I guess. I don't know.
That's
I'm
fair.
excited for the Halloween one. That's what I'm excited for because I'm working on a Halloween
Yep.
thing
Oh,
right
hell
now.
yeah.
So I'm really, really, really excited for that one.
Yeah, no, you're gonna kill it with the Halloween stuff. We've already
It's my
seen your
favorite time of
ability to
year.
do awesome themed builds. So, do you
I
have
wish
an idea?
AI was in the game already because we could build actual haunted houses. in the game.
Actually,
Yeah.
monsters are coming next month, so we will.
And we have those little wisp
Maybe
things.
into-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh. Well, yeah,
You know,
maybe we'll
but
have
I-
monsters, hopefully.
But I'm imagining, like, by this time next year, we'll actually be able to build, like, full blown awesome haunted houses with real jump scares and stuff. So, you never know. It'll be cool to see what kind of tools we end up with.
Well, you
I'm
can-
just speculating.
You can embed teleporters and launchers into the ground, so somebody is like slowly walking by, and then all of a sudden, ka-chunk, and you're flung off into a bunch of mines or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have a theme yet. I never actually have a theme when I start something other than like I was like, "Oh, I want to build candy," and then it turned into the Candy Mountain thing. For the Halloween stuff right now, I started out with like a land bridge. There's just like a little like bridge of land, and figured out that if you put a giant globe of glass voxels and stick a light orb in it, it looks somewhat like a kind of weird egg thing. So
Ooh.
that's kind of where it started. So then I started making caves of these weird bubble eggs, and that's where it's going. So who knows where it'll end up, but it's somewhere along that line.
I think I've seen that cave. It's like kind
I
of
was working on it.
underwater-ish, isn't it? Or at least
It's not
underground.
underwater. Yeah, it's underground. I was working on it on the last couple streams I did.
Yeah.
It was like Friday, Monday, and Tuesday I was working on it, so.
Invoice 70 says Castle Mistmore. Yeah, interestingly, Castle Mistmore is one of the last areas I did, and I remember doing from soup to nuts in EverQuest 2.
Gotcha. Castle Mistmore, huh?
It's a whole vampire castle kind of thing.
Ah, gotcha.
Had
Gotcha,
and a
gotcha.
lot of lore, like a lot of the EQ2 stuff. If you want to get the full lore out, you got to like really find all the book pages and put them together, and then you get like a book you can read.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
Mistmore's got a particularly interesting storyline to it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely Halloween should be fun, and it sounds like they were going to give you a couple of props that were going to be Halloween specific. So, yeah, it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward
Candy
to it.
and cake. Well, we have cake already, but candy.
Yeah, yeah, they were saying about some Halloween props. They had a few days and just cranked a bunch out. So, little bite-sized candies and stuff like that. That should be pretty fun to see. But that's
Yeah.
kind of an interesting subject. Now they've said they're thinking about if they can. It's a low priority, but they want to get some Christmas props in. And I'm sitting here like, what? You guys said there ain't gonna be no religious nothing in the game. What you doing? And then I also say, Hanukkah? You know, the holiday that's a celebration of
Holiday
military.
props.
You know, no,
Holiday props.
it's if you know mistletoe and a Christmas ornament, or excuse me, decorative ornaments and
By its
decoration.
nature, Christmas trees, giant candy canes, Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, mistletoe, garland, all of the imagery of Christmas, sans actual religious icons, is a secular holiday. Granted, they're based on old pagan rituals, but technically, by today's standards, it's a secular thing. If someone's sticking up a nativity scene, then that becomes a religious thing. Just like you're
Everything else
asking
is
if
so
someone puts up
commercialized, though.
yeah, you know
It's
what I
like
mean. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't think Jesus in the manger. You know what I mean. I don't.
no,
It,
no. I think of the old like 80s, 70s, and 80s
I think of the
claymation.
Rat Bass Rankin puppet claymation Rudolph the
Yes,
Red-Nosed Reindeer.
exactly.
Yes, and
Exactly.
Isle of Misfit Toys and Heat Miser and Freeze Meister and all of that is what I think of. When I think Christmas, I think A Christmas Story, which is all about a kid daydreaming and wishing and fantasizing about getting a Red Ryder BB gun. So
You'll shoot your
I, I
eye out.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, Nero. You're kind of playing the politically correct card to be the politically correct card a little bit, I hate to say. But, a Christmas tree is not a Christian symbol, and it's definitely a secular, worldly thing.
What about
And
all the songs and text and stuff
no,
referring to
no, no,
Christ?
no,
World of
no,
Warcraft doesn't do the songs.
but again,
They just
but
have
again,
Christmas trees and presents and
But
stuff.
again,
and
not
gnomes.
every Christmas song is about the birth of Christ. That depends on which circles you're rolling in. You know what I mean? As to what Christmas carols you're singing. So
We could have a
Or
real
you could,
circular discussion on this because I would definitely
good.
throw it back
Here's
into.
here's how
I-
here's hang on. Here's how
just-
I'm going to end this. Hang on. Here's how I'm going to end this. Okay. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I've been to Hanukkah parties. I have a lot of Christian friends. I've been to Christian Christmas parties, and I'll always go to the Christmas party over the Hanukkah party any day of the week. No offense. So, quit being a party pooper and let us have Christmas trees and giant candy canes.
I
Okay,
already
but
made giant candy
I,
canes.
I would say that's fine, but allow the holidays of other peoples to be celebrated as well. Don't just.
Well, you are making the assumption that everyone who celebrates Christmas is celebrating the birth of Christ. They are not. That's an assumption you are making.
Oh no, I'm not assuming that at all. I'm saying that the origin and the nature of it and what it's all about, and I say all of the merrymaking and all of the other Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all of that stuff is just ancillary marketing to what's ultimately a religious holiday. But like I said, we could have
you're
a
right.
circular
It's a-
argument on
this is
this.
This is
'cause-
you're right. Well, you want to break it down to facts. Christmas is indeed pagan winter festival ritual items being co-opted by the Roman Catholic Church. Absolutely 100%.
So is Halloween. Halloween is a
Absolutely,
completely,
absolutely,
yeah, which is
European
is a-
Catholic religious twisted holiday that comes from
Yep.
a pagan
Yeah.
holiday that's supposed to celebrate harvest and celebrate, going into winter. Instead, it was turned into you got to be scared of everything now. So I mean, it's pretty much every holiday that you have, you could somehow spin it in some different
Yeah.
way. So.
Well, that's. I was also gonna say.
And
I
there's
was.
nothing
I was
stop-
not really sure why. If the religious stuff, then why a Halloween contest? And then when I heard Halloween and then Christmas, like, oh, okay, so the religious imagery thing is really like very specific religious imagery that they don't want people making big old crosses and stuff like that. Even though that's
Or,
also a symbol of a gravestone. So
That's the other thing. I actually had a conversation
the
with
statue
a
of
couple
Virgin
people the
Mary.
other day
Yeah.
about the cross thing because they didn't know if they should what things they should say no to as far as religious stuff because what about the I don't know if it's technically a Maltese cross, but like the cross that's basically just
the
a
Iron
square
Cross, yeah.
that is used in a lot of biker stuff or metal stuff or
And
a
fascism
gravestone.
is the other
Like,
unfortunate association, but yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many things that are religious and something else. I mean, obviously, a cross with, Jesus like this on it is not going to fly in a game, but there's many things that have dual meanings to them that the general meaning of it today is not a religious thing. So, are all crosses banned? Can we have an ankh that looks like a cross?
Yeah.
There's so many things.
It's
Well,
such an
and I
ambiguous rule.
have-
Go for
I
it,
just hit
Adam.
the pass
And I
button. Pass. I don't want to deal with this one.
Yeah, and I have definitely run through, there's at least one or two claims within running distance of where I'm at on my island where they have essentially set up what is very clearly, a born again Christian church presentation. Without a doubt, am I going to be a dick and go report that person? No, I don't care. It's not,
Well, that's
it's
just
not
the player
offensive in any
studio.
way.
Is
Maybe.
there
Okay, you're
actually
right.
rulers against like
Absolutely.
I know there's technically rules against copyright, like copyrighted things in game that we're not supposed to do, but I don't know if the religious stuff
And
extended to the game
yeah,
instead of just player studio.
I don't think there's anything stopping Nero if he wants to putting up a giant, oh shoot, what's the um candle holder? Forgive me for Hanukkah.
Menorah.
Menorah.
The menorah. There's nothing to stop you from building a giant menorah on your claim if you want to. I mean, I don't. You couldn't sell that in the player studio, but you could certainly put it up in your own space. I don't think anybody would find that offensive. It does come down to sometimes who you got to worry about whose delicate sensibilities are running around out there. Not everyone's as laid back as say we are or you are about that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm seeing it here. I not that I only bring it up because to understand. I do not look at Christmas as a Christian holiday. I have not been a Christian for most of my adult life. Christmas is definitely a wonderful holiday time for me, but I don't think of it, not everyone is, I just want to make that clear. Not everybody is looking at these things the way you do. That's all framed within your world view. And I know there's a lot of folks who are Christian and do look at that holiday as this is what it is to me, this is what it means. Doesn't necessarily mean, but that is, again, like it's come up tonight, like Neuro's made the point that, but it could be perceived that way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at it as a
Yeah,
lawyer.
Yeah. Well,
gotcha. I understand.
I look at Christmas with my 5 years working at Target and want to run and hide from every store thing that's put up with Christmas carols and ugh. 5 years working in electronics and kids'
Hmm.
toys in Target will kill your
Oh,
love for
working
anything
Yeah.
commercialized.
Yeah, I bet.
working in retail during the holidays will kill any real love you have for the Christmas holidays. Trust me, it will just.
The
You
only one
see
I liked
people.
was Black Friday.
I have never in my life seen people behave at their worst than I have during holiday Christmas shopping. And I was a manager in retail for many years.
Yeah.
And it really was, that was the shittiest time of the year. And it just took every moral, every fiber in your being to survive it without killing somebody
What are
or
you
getting yourself
doing?
fired.
Why
Oh,
is your
yeah.
child running through, knocking everything over? But I actually really
Yeah.
loved Black Friday. That was the only one that I loved because I was nuts.
Because you know why? You're so busy, the day flies by, And
You don't care what
yeah.
anyone does. They can do whatever they want, and as long as they're standing there in that line and not running off with your merchandise, you're good. And you get free
And I mean,
lunch. Free lunch.
personally for me, and I mean this sincerely, over the last 5, 6 years in particular, Christmas has been about watching my nephews get their Christmas presents because they still believe in Santa Claus and they still believe in all that magic of Christmas stuff, and that's a lot of fun. But you eventually outgrow all that, and it's just another holiday to get through. All right, gotta go deal with the relatives. But anyway, we've definitely fallen down the rabbit hole. Either way, it's cool. I mean, every MMO has hot seasonal stuff in it, and I'm glad that they're already getting ready to be able to support that down the road.
Okay. Though, on the contrast, I'm still probably gonna see if I can't do it myself, commissioning someone I know to help me out with it. But getting some holiday stuff in for Planet Side 2. It can't be necessarily too overt. However, there's some things that I think they would be okay with. I think a spinning menorah for a hood ornament was something that they would actually go with, or a um, just a menorah or something. I mean, I tried to do a tessellating dreidel and tessellating menorah pattern for camos, and I think them actually be able to get them in this year because last year I think they were just a little bit too late for the cutoff. So I really just need to contact the Player Studio guy and be like, hey, you remember these things I submitted last year? You want to give them another look? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Hmm.
I think the backup time is about 2 months, last I read, so probably should get on it now.
Good idea. I mean, I talked to him about it at SOE Live, so he knows that it's something that's been done. So hopefully we'll be able to see that come through. I mean, there's a lot of things. I'm definitely gonna make a sturdy tin, probably pole, maybe silver, for Festivus, just because I don't really care much for Seinfeld, but Festivus is pretty good. But let's move it along here. Um, so they're considering being able to put the PvP meshes in, or what the considerations are for that. That you'll be able to knock chunks off of platforms and knock areas away, and have capture points that you won't actually be able to access unless special things are done to make it that, like there's a prop glass or something under it. So what are your folks' thoughts on that? On how destruction of terrain could potentially cause issues with battlegrounds and things that they could do to resolve it? Because mine is real easy. For every capture point or anything that someone needs to be able to get to, just put a little ring or square or something around it that you can adjust the thickness of it in the settings, and maybe it's invisible, or maybe it's translucent, or maybe you can even jump through it from below or grapple through it from below, so it's easy to get to. Just so that way, if the builder so chooses, the area around their point can be destroyed, but there's still an area people can jump to get to it. What do you folks think?
Sounds like a solution to me. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things of they should let players turn it on and off, but definitely build in the feature so they can't destroy something that would break the game, so to speak, that's ongoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for as much like creativity and things that we can do to make different games and different stuff. And right now, I've noticed, at least with like the breaking of terrain around the capture points, is it's kind of nearly impossible to actually do that and not be able to hit the capture point. Because Kobits, lovely Kobits, who's actually here in the chat with us, has a wonderful arena, and I've actually tried to break the entire section around the capture point. And you have to go, like, if here's the capture point, you have to go out like this much to be able to not hit it. So if they wanted to do something where you have to break something or do other things to get a capture point, they're going to have to readjust completely how they have the capture point set up right now, I think.
Yeah, it's still a lot of dynamite to really be able to bust all of that out, unless it's a floating point that there's a whole bunch of jumps and stuff to get to it, and then you can just destroy those jumps.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way.
Now to Yanisha, I don't know if you can access a capture point when you're grappled to it. There's a lot of things that if you're grappled to them, you're not able to use them. Doors, the Spire Crystal are a couple examples. So I wouldn't be surprised if you can't use the actual capture point while you're grappling. I believe grappling actually blocks a lot of that stuff. Though if you would be able to capture while you're grappling, then that might be a solution. Fugazi's saying you can. Oh, okay. Well then, I guess you can.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things they'd have to adjust if they're going to do anything that's different than what they have now, really.
Oh, you can stand on top of it. I guess that makes sense. You'd have to actually get yourself all the way. That would make sense because you're not grappled to it. You're actually physically standing, and then there's no weird interaction going on there. All right then. I'm really excited for actually having chunks fall off and fly off when you break things, though.
Have you seen the Voxel Farm video for it?
The one
physics?
the one they showed at SOE Live, or is there a different one now?
I didn't see the one at SW Live because I wasn't there, but a couple months ago or weeks ago, Voxel Farm showed their new physics. I think that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now it's that you can use bigger things. So like you can actually chop off like the supports to an entire roof, and the entire roof will fall down and bounce and like looks like it explodes. And when you start deleting things, it actually pieces fly off and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It looks like almost real physics, but not quite there yet, but almost there.
It's getting there. The thing is, it still only just saves off a single mesh of the thing that was destroyed, right? You can't then break apart the thing after it falls off, or is that one of the improvements that
No,
they
you can
made?
still break off. You can continue to destroy something once it's broken off.
Oh, good. That's
That,
cool.
that's
Then
what they were showing.
that's the improvement then, because you weren't able to do that in the demo they showed at SOE Live. So that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
a
I'm pretty
really
sure that
big
you were still able to.
cool. So hopefully that'll be coming pretty soon.
Excellent.
That'll be a lot of fun, especially once again, dynamite. It's fun. Go make
Yeah.
some. Go blow some
I
stuff
haven't
up.
made dynamite since alpha.
Yeah, now it's like, I think it's still cotton and cobalt, but it also uses
And
Christia
coal.
plant extract. Oh, that's what it is, coal. Um, I think it's cobalt and coal now, actually, and Christia plant extract, which I think you get in the caves. Yeah, can't wait to see.
That's a really good idea, H1Z1 Jane. So they can't wait to see till someone puts like a monster underneath a PvP claim and you bust through the floor and you fall and there's a monster there that you all have to become friends now and fight the monster before you can continue killing each other. It's a really good idea. I
Should be
we'll
a lot
able
of
to do
fun.
that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to. It's if we aren't able to do it with the initial tools and features they give us with creatures, it's definitely something over time we'll give them the feedback and they'll give us the features. Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Um, Yeah, why aren't you playing Landmark anyway? Never mind. I actually,
Never mind.
It's true that queue does suck. I'm just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah.
7 hours. 7 hours.
yeah,
Is it a fish? Is it still just early access, or is it
It
open
launched.
now?
It's open. That's why. If you were in early access or anything, you get to bypass the queue right now because you bought it, or if you're paying. But for the rest of us, it's a like somewhere between 6 and 10 hour queue.
that's silly.
So I'll just so we're talking about Archage for those who are trying to keep up watching this after the fact, and I will just throw out
Sidetrack.
as a public service
Patrick.
service announcement that for those handful of players where invert Y axis on the mouse is a game breaker for you, do not waste your time with Archage. It's not an
Ooh.
option in there right now. So if that is a game breaker for you, and it is for some folks
Now,
like me,
you're saying mouse up
you
is
can't-
look up or mouse up is look down?
no. So what
can't
happens
invert
is
it.
this: you cannot invert it. So most games these days start with normal. What is it? Yeah, you
Super.
see. Normally, when I play an MMO, when
My
I'm
dogs
running
are-
through the world, I'm used to pulling the mouse back to look up, and I'm
Oh,
pushing
yeah.
the mouse forward to look down. The game is reverse, and you can't change it.
That sucks.
So if you want to look up, you push down, and if you want to look down, you got to pull back. And I tried for hours and hours, and there are some people who have offered like, here's this patch or run this program. None of it works consistently, and after spending literally like an entire Saturday trying to get the game to play decently, I mean, it ran well, it looked good, I was intrigued by a lot of things in it. I was just running through the world like a drunken sailor, no matter how patient
Wait,
I was
are
trying
you-
to be.
Are you saying it's set to invert? Because mine was not set to
No,
invert. when
he's
when I
saying-
logged
no.
in.
he's saying he's used to playing it with it inverted, and you can't set that as a
play
feature.
inverted. Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm an
Yeah.
older gamer.
Never mind.
Back in the day, that's how games came. They came with the
Yeah.
inverted y-axis for a lot of, and that's just how I got used to playing. And again, it's a feature it takes a developer 5 minutes to add as a checkbox.
Yeah, that's
in
what
the
I was
option.
going to say. Like an hour at most, start to finish, is all it should really take.
Yeah. So when it happened again, it's a small segment of players. It is not common outside of the West. I get that, but for those of us who play like that, it is like trying to tell a left-handed person to just suck it up and play right-handed. They're wired differently. It's just the way they play. So they say it's a known issue, and they are going to add it. But because it's a game Tryon doesn't directly support, they've got to wait until they've convinced the council of people, because this is how business is done in Asia. It's not just tell them this is the problem and one guy goes and fixes it. No, they'll have boardroom meetings, I guarantee you, where they will debate the merits of whether or not they should turn on invert y-axis for the Western players. So I realize it's only a game breaker for some older people like me, but for those it matters, don't sit in a queue for 9 hours to find out. That's
Or
what
get a
I don't know.
my
programmable
public
mouse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or program your
programmable
mouse
mouse
that way.
won't fix. No,
Really?
programmable mouse won't work that way because again, I only need the inverted y-axis in gameplay. I don't need it inverted in the menu system.
Ah,
You know,
makes sense.
See,
Everything
this
gets all
is-
messed up.
Yep.
bingo.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not as easy as that. That's why I say just add it to the fucking game and I will gladly jump in and probably give you a couple bucks. So anyway, public service
Yeah.
announcement. If that matters to you, game is unplayable right now as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. So
For me, look up and look down wasn't an issue for a while. I had a flight stick for X-wing and TIE fighter, so it was pretty natural just to pull up and push down. And for anything on a dual analog, that's usually pretty intuitive. But the first FPS games I played were Doom and Wolfenstein. There's no look up, there's no look down. If you need to look up to shoot at something, it'll automatically do it for you. So I never really had that much of an issue with it until maybe Quake at the earliest or something.
I like by the way, I just want to point out, I like the 12 and 15-year-olds who are like, weak reason not to play a game. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, come on.
Well, it's like when I went from trying to play UT and Halo on my computer to trying to play it on the Xbox.
Mhm.
Nope. Not gonna happen.
Nope,
Didn't work out
indeed.
so well. I was really good at UT on my computer. Tried to play Halo on the console. Nope. I couldn't do the dual analog.
It's a completely different
impossible.
beast.
Yeah.
Plus,
exactly. And I was
UT
like, I need to be able to move this. No.
I'm not going to say that Halo isn't an arena shooter. It is, but it's like a 5 on the scale of like a tactical to arena shooter, where Unreal is like a 9 on the scale of
I love
being.
Unreal.
It's complete.
It's
It's
my first game.
so much fun, like the Twitch-based gameplay, the fact that you can double tap and dodge around, so much mobility, the quick respawn rates are just back in the battle, and that's what I actually like about what we've seen with the PvP and Landmark up to this point. It really feels more like an arena brawler more than anything, and I like that. It's fun, it's fast-paced, it's enjoyable. You make an arena, you fight in it, you have a laugh, you get frustrated, whatever. It's fun stuff.
If
But-
only my frames didn't drop to 2.
That sucks.
The last 2 patches broke PvP for me. I actually cannot do it
Really?
anymore until they fix it. Yeah, it's really
Damn.
kind of sucks.
People
'Cause,
have
like,
been seeing
well-
improvements, and some people haven't. I guess it's been on
I
the
did get
downswing for
improvement
you.
though. I'm at like 50 to 60, sometimes 70 to 80 frames now. But the problem is like when it goes to fight or I'd go to move quickly, it just spikes straight down and like freezes. So. And there's a
Yeah,
couple
that's not
people
good.
that's happened to, like I know Fugazi is having problems with it, and Giovanni's having problems with it too. So there's like this group of us that were like so gung ho PvP, and all of a sudden we can't play it anymore because it's just the last 2 patches broke something.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they'll fix it. It's
I mean,
just a matter of waiting and going,
There-
please, please.
there's been such little combat going on over the past 2 weeks that
That's why.
I actually cut off combat daily and just switched it over to landmark daily and just made a general landmark show.
Is that why you did that?
Yeah, specifically because there's just not enough to do with combat right now. There's not enough to show. There's not enough to fight. There's not enough arenas active at that time. Especially, it's peak time for Europe, and in the international channel, I don't get a peep when I'm asking for combat. I ask in PvP. I ask in Friday Night Fight Club. I ask in Courage Crew. I ask in all of the channels that I have that I'm in, and I get like maybe Ashen and Livey and maybe people who are tuned in are generally like the only people I've been seeing recently, and yeah, it's like we have 5 people fighting at any given time when the show's going. That's not going to work. So I'm sure when combat has more features and more stuff to really show off, and actually
More
having
weapons.
build management is going to be a big thing. Right now there isn't any build. There's your trinkets, and you're either playing in a trinkets on or a trinkets off arena, and that's something you have to agree to, because they can't really enforce that short of just leaving the match and letting you trinket around.
Hang on a second. Time out. So So for months, right, I heard from all the really, 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 really hardcore, super hardcore, I'm going to be a PvPer. And PvPer, where's the PvP? Without PvP, this game's going to die and the community's in trouble. And what the fuck? And so they got PvP, and then it didn't keep them interested for more than a week.
Well, it's a combination of that and the PvP. It's very limited what we have, and it's also got a lot of issues. Like, there's still a lot of issues
Yeah.
with aiming. Where you left click to start the attack, where you're aiming at the end of the attack, somewhere between there is where the shot is actually going to come out. And it makes the ability to predict your shots and make accurate shots, make good decisions even on the battlefield, very,
Gotcha.
very difficult.
There's a
Okay.
lot of
All right.
things with an issue with it. Most of it right now for people is optimization. We had a
Yeah.
group that was just PvPing all the time for the first week it was out, and then when they started doing this month of optimization,